and welcome to my channel. This is Lisa with Lisa's Faith and Budget Planning channel. I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to be here with you, closing out my Paycheck 1 and setting up my Paycheck 2 that will finish out the rest of the month here in February. So I've gone from a 3 paycheck month to a 2 paycheck month and anticipating in my husband's new job and how his pay periods are going to be flowing for the future. And we have not gotten paid by this particular job yet. We did use our savings this month, so we fully funded everything for the entire month out of our savings and left enough in the checking account to have a little bit of a buffer. So I have been paying attention to the numbers and making sure we're staying relatively within what we expected and have enough money left over to kind of have $300 or $400 left in the checking account by the end of February. So I'm excited about that. And though that money came from savings, it's there as a buffer in the checking account, and its job is just to sit there. I will decide in March what we're going to do with everything as far as the new pay and new pay schedule when I set up the budget for March. I haven't quite figured that one out just yet, but I will, and I'm excited about that. So let's go ahead and get into Paycheck 1. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of work with one side first, and then we'll go to the next side. So what I know here, our previous balance for that we estimated, I just wrote it on really quick on a sticky note, was $3,119.39. So I'm going to kind of put that over here, and we can use it as a reference as to where we thought we were going to be and where we're actually at before Paycheck 2. Now, because we're fully funded, there is no actual paycheck coming in. I just split up the paycheck, I split up the income to check in twice. So this is more of a check-in than an actual paycheck, but I still want to call it that because I want to get used to this new way of our paychecks are happening for future months. So I was running the numbers, comparing them to the bank account, and I was off a little bit, but I was off in my favor in the process. So I'm off by $10.65. It's not a lot of money. So I just added the $10.65 as an adjustment here in the income section because somewhere I did my math wrong. I don't know. I didn't do my math wrong down here. I do know that, and I don't have this. I just think something in the checking account's a little different, and I didn't catch it. So I'm not worried about it. I just want to make sure that I know which part. I just want to make sure I have an accurate number compared to my checking account, and that's what we're doing here. And here we go. So I have my calculator here, and I am ready to total up the numbers. So we're going to start with the income, and I didn't give myself enough lines here, so I had to squeeze some of this in, and then I had 2 deposits and an adjustment in addition to what I transferred from savings to complete how much we needed for money for the month to cover all the expenses. So I have here military retirement, which is $1,828.12, plus the $2,428.91, plus the $803 in rent my son gives us, and then $2,870 is the standard income that I brought from savings for each month I needed it before my husband started his new job. He definitely he only went without a job for an entire month, but it takes 2 months for the pay. So that's how that worked out and why I'm using savings to pay for everything. And yeah, it's all good. So we also had this $1,310.30, and that is also coming out here as an expense exactly to the penny. It was our escrow. They gave us like a over $700 check last time they checked the escrow, and then this time they checked it, they said we owed $1,000 or $1,300. I'm like, oh my gosh. Now I like to pay in full any discrepancies when we owe in the escrow. For our property taxes, it was the biggest fluctuation. It had nothing to do with the homeowner's insurance. But the property taxes changed, I guess. I know my property value went up a little bit, and that probably had something to do with it. But the frequency of how they check it is also kind of messing with it a little bit. So if I get a refund from my escrow just because there was too much money, I'm just going to save it. And then the next time it comes around, if that owe more, then I can use that money. I wish I had kept it last time, but that's okay. So the escrow is going to come out. But yeah, I just transferred it from savings, paid it out of savings, and there you go. I don't want my mortgage payment to creep up so much, and I spread out in several months paying back an escrow deficit. I don't like doing it that way, so I'm not going to. So I made that deposit, and then my sinking funds. So I transferred from a savings account that I use for sinking funds, and I transferred $139.99, and that is the same as this Orkin here, so it's just going to come right back out. Doesn't really impact the budget at all when I do that. All it does is it ensures that I have enough money in the account. And then this adjustment of $10.65, I don't know what the problem was. I'm not going to chase it. I don't really care. So we're just going to start, and I'm going to make this adjustment, and it'll be fine. And my total here for deposits, actual deposits, is $9,390.97. All right, that's done. So I know how much income, I know how much money, and the adjustments of cash. What I'm trying to do is get in a balance that matches a balance forward from Paycheck 1 to Paycheck 2 that equals the checking account as of today. What is the money in the checking account right now? And that's what we're doing here. So as far as like all these numbers here for my fixed expenses, mortgage, our cable, internet, phone, Paramount Plus, Amazon Music, Pregnancy Help Center, God's Pantry, Greater Europe Mission, our water bill, YouTube Premium, HP Instant Ink, and Geico, all of that stayed exactly the same. So I do know that, I'm checking my numbers here, this did not change. So this is $3,310.64. Stayed the same. Now, if any of these fluctuated, there would be a difference here, but they didn't, so we're good to go. And now we get to put in our grocery. So our grocery consists of, grocery household, I should say, consists of what we spent in week 1 and week 2 of the weekly check-in. So if I add these two numbers up, that'll give me the total, and that is where I'm getting my numbers from. So I already have them written down, so I'm just going to go ahead and write them here so I don't have to take too much time doing all the math. Turn this a little bit because, I'm writing on the coil and it's not easy. So let me grab this and I can see my numbers a little easier. So for grocery household, in total for Paycheck 1, which is week 1 and 2 of the weekly check-in, we spent a total of $673.45. Restaurants, we spent a total of $274.27. If you watched the weekly check-in, you would have seen we were over budget in that category, but it wasn't that bad. It was $24 or something like that. And we have enough in the budget to compensate for that. I'm so excited for this miscellaneous category because we are definitely keeping it under budget. In past years, because we had such a surplus in our budget and we had money left over, I was able to kind of use it as a category for stuff that we could buy a little bit on impulse. So I'm so glad we're keeping it kind of way under budget than I normally would, and I really hope to keep doing this with this new job that pays less and all those things. I want to make sure I can save as much as I can or spend less as much as I can so I have plenty of room in the budget for what we need and what we want. Now moving on to gas. We spent $163.02. We went over by $13, which is fine. we had the cash, we could pay for it. We only did that because we went out of the area and came back. We're not going anywhere for a while, so we're good to go, and our cars are filled up full with gas, so we probably won't need anything until almost the end of the month. So we should have plenty of money in the account for that. Copay was 0. And then unbudgeted was 0, so we didn't have any surprises. There we go. And there's the escrow and the Orkin that I added money in and then we took right back out. So let's total the numbers that we have here in order to see how much we spent in our variable expenses and see what happens. Okay, so we spent significantly more, but it's only because I added these two right here, and we know we put that exact amount in the deposit, so they kind of cancel each other out. It's just going to look like a large number and throw things off a little bit. So $2,734.95 is what we spent. Now I need to take our deposit here, total income, $9,390.97, and I want to subtract this $3,310.64. Oops, 4. And then I'm going to subtract the $2,734.95. There we go. Hit the right keys, just didn't hit the say the right correct words. So we have left over $3,345.38. This is the exact number I have sitting in my checking account after paying off the credit card this week and all the bills and expenses that have happened. This is what I have left over. So now I want to find a sticker to kind of match this, and I'll be right back. And this is amazing. I had leftover stickers and with my Sara sticker leftovers, and this is very close to that. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's close. So I'm just going to write the letters B and F. That's balance forward. That's how my brain works. I like to know what's going forward into the new time period. And we have 3,345.38, exactly what the checking account says. And as you can see, that's more than what I planned to have left over. I planned to have $3,119, and I don't. I have more than that. And so that means I am definitely, even though we were over budget in a couple categories, we are definitely able to keep things reined in and keep our budget running smooth. So I'm excited about that. So let's go ahead and get Paycheck 2 set up. I do want to go ahead and grab that sticker I found. I have more than one, so let's go ahead and put that in. There we go. And when it's time, I'll have the actual here. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the money left over at the end of this month. It could be that I save it. It could be that I just use it in the next month. It depends on what we need and what we have. So that is what I'm working on here. So my balance forward, I've already lost the number. So my balance forward, as I said before, is $3,345.38. There we go. And that's going to be the actual, because that's what's sitting in there. And because we're not getting paychecks. Normally I would budget a paycheck and then do an actual what we actually got, but if there was a difference. But since we know this is what's actually sitting in there and that is what we're counting for this paycheck period, we're good to go. Now I want to budget 0 for other. I don't expect any income to come in, but if something does, I have a place for it, and I have 3 lines just in case something else, savings or whatever, I want to put in those areas. So, all right, with Paycheck 2 here, what we're doing is putting the total amounts. So the first thing I have here is what we budget for sinking funds. I have not moved the money into sinking funds yet, but it's $463.50 for all of those items combined together, and that's where I get that number from. Next, I have AT&T's $277.78. Two of the phones are still being leased, and that's why that's up higher than what we could be paying. Two electric this month, or last month, well, for the cold snap for last month, and the snow days we had, it was $221.14. We actually average $150 if you divide through the whole year. So some months are higher, some are lower. Our heat and air conditioning are electric, so we don't have natural gas here. Life insurance, that is my family's life insurance, and that is $87.56. And then my oldest son, I got a life insurance policy because he aged out of this one, and that is $33.16. I got the max I could do, so that is that. $8.99 for Discovery Plus. My sons love watching the shows on there. Vivint is our home security system. This is just for the service. So if there's a fire or carbon monoxide or smoke or whatever, and the alarms go off and nobody responds to the panel, then the fire department's notified, EMS, all that stuff, and they will be they'll come out because the alarms went off, or if we're out of town and somebody broke in the house, things like that. That's $65.82. And I do have cameras and things like that go with it. Apple.com is my storage, $2.99. USSCA is my husband's, and that is $39.17. Amazon Digital. This is like $3.24. Now we're moving on to the variable expenses. So we have grocery, household. And that I have what's left of the budget for the next 2 weeks. We have plenty in the grocery household, which is great. $926.55. So $126.55 came from Paycheck 1 that I wasn't expecting. We didn't spend it all, so I just moved it over to Paycheck 2. I originally budgeted $100 for Paycheck 2, but I added that to it, so that'll keep us taken care of for the rest of the month. And it's a short month, so we won't need all of this unless I want to stock up before the new month and just spend it in order to make sure we have everything we need for the month of March. And next we have restaurants. I have $225.73. So if you divide that by 2 weeks, 225.73 divided by 2, I still have $112.86 a week. That works for us. I try to keep it $100 a week, and I'm not too worried about restaurants because we're not going out of the area. We're not going to visit people. I mean, we might. I don't know. But if we do go over budget in restaurants, I know what I have over in grocery household should cover it, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I just have to keep an eye on it. The next thing I have is $326.08 for miscellaneous. That's a pretty good number. I've been keeping that. I budget $500, but I've been trying not to spend in this category, and it's working out pretty good. I used to use a lot of my personal money out of there, so I haven't been doing that, and that really saved a lot of money. Gas, I have left $136.98, and that's plenty. I average $60. My husband averages $40, so that's $100 right there, and we still have $36 left over. So for the entire month, we should be fine. And that'll take us to the end of the month. Copay, I haven't used that yet. I might have to pay. I know for sure I'll probably have to get prescriptions for my son, one of my sons, and myself. I have a prescription coming up. And yeah, so we will be using that, and maybe a doctor's appointment. Not sure. And then unbudgeted is always 0 unless I have to use it, which means I'm using the buffer, the checking account, or what's left over in these categories that I haven't spent yet. Okay, so we have all our numbers written down and we're ready to get all the totals that we need for Paycheck 2 in order to completely set up Paycheck 2. So I already know what I'm counting on for income because it's what's left in the checking account, $3,345.38. If anything else comes in, I have room for that. So let's go ahead and total up the fixed expenses I have on this side, and then we'll do the variable expenses, and then we'll come back and see how much money we have left over or that we are counting as the buffer of the checking account. So let's go ahead and total the numbers up. I'll be right back. Okay, so our fixed expenses are $1,203.35. And I'm going to put that down right here is what we budget. Unless anything changes, which I don't think it will, that should stay the same number. But if it does change, I have an actual column for that. And now I'm going to take this side and total up our variable expenses or our spending and what we have left in the budget to spend on our everyday needs. So that's what we're going to do here. Okay, finally got the number right. So I probably cut out a lot of this video because I had to add it 3 times because I got the number wrong. All right, $1,715.34. There we go. That is the correct total. Now I can take the income, $3,345.38, minus the $1,203.35, and minus the $1,715.34. That gives me a total. I'm going to use a little sticky note here. I got these little strips here I'm going to use. That leaves a total of $426.69 left in the buffer of the checking account. Its job is to sit there. That gives me a zero-based budget just because I assigned it something. So when we come back at the end of the month and I do the math all over again and see what we spent, then we'll know how close I came to this, or if I went over or under or whatever it is, and that will be at the end of the month. So Paycheck 2 closeout is when I close out the month. I also will close out week 4, the weekly check-in, the same time I close out Paycheck 2. There is no Paycheck 3, so I'll just kind of X that out. Not worry about that over there. There is no Paycheck 3. I just didn't know how that was going to turn out this month until I started doing all the numbers. Okay, so this is Paycheck 2 setup. We are ready to go for the rest of the month, and I look forward to seeing you at the end of the month and checking out how the numbers turned out. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Have an amazing and blessed day. Bye.